Hi, everyone. This is Laura Tiebert, and today we're going to talk about love symbol number 2 and why you might consider adopting a symbol as your name. All right, I'm going to share my screen, and here we go. Okay, let's get right into it. Going to start with a trivia question. So how much do you know about love symbol number 2? Today, you can find it, the love symbol represented in colors from black to gold to silver, white, and purple, of course. But what was the original color of love symbol number 2 as it was originally designed? Does anyone have an idea? Well, if you said gold, you are correct. The original color of the love symbol was gold. This was told to me by Sotera Shetter, who was Prince's design director at the time. She said in an email exchange to me that Prince's symbol was originally designed as gold for a reason. She did not detail the reason, so I guess that part remains a mystery, but maybe it explains why Prince went on to his 1995 album called Gold. But, you know, as you look at the love symbol, Shetter told People magazine right after Prince died that you can see the male and the female symbols together, and combining the two is unification, she said, and together they are Earth. Now, the symbol's most striking quality actually might be its imperfection. And you can see the scroll on the left is a little lopsided. The bar that goes across on the right, it's a little imbalanced. And really, it's perfect in its imperfection. And, you know, like many of Prince's creations, the love symbol was created quickly. It was imperfect on purpose, and it was made in Minneapolis. So let's enter the time-space continuum that is 3 Chains of Gold, and really no discussion of the whole love symbol album era could be complete without talking about the introduction of the love symbol. And really at the end of 3 Chains of Gold, you can see a very clear message as Prince buries his old identity. Here we go. Let's take a look at the end of the 3 Chains of Gold video.
Are you there?
You know, something that's really interesting that I just noticed is that at the end of the video, you hear the church bells tolling and there's a church steeple in the background. But then when you see Prince's silhouette coming to throw the dirt into the grave, it sure looks like the Eiffel Tower in the background, which connects to the next point about the love symbol. This is public relations executive Karen Lee. And on June 6th, 1993, she was working for Prince. He was her new boss, and she received a phone call from Prince, and he was actually calling from Paris. Interesting, right? Which is where he told her that he was going to change his name the next day on his birthday. So Lee, at that point, had already fielded her fair share of unlikely requests from her new boss. And so she matter-of-factly grabbed a pen and a piece of paper, and she said, okay, how do you spell your new name? So Prince said, there's no spelling for it. And okay, Lee said, so how is it pronounced? There's no pronunciation for it either, Prince said. So the information, or lack thereof, sent Lee reeling, as it would any good PR executive, anticipating what was to come. But Prince continued, and he explained that his new name that he had chosen was, in fact, the symbol that had been the name of his most recent album. Prince instructed Lee to draft a press release right away. You know, did not see it coming. That's really Prince's career summed up in 5 words. One April morning in 2019, I drove along Highway 5 past the intersection of Audubon Road, and it looked a little bit like this. I was on my way to a watercolor painting class, and that was something I'd picked up in March to explore the way Prince used color. In April 2019, I was starting my 4th month in the year of living like Prince, and I planned to go for an entire year. How does one come to live like Prince, you might ask? Well, in 2017, Alex Hahn and I had teamed up to write the biography, The Rise of Prince. And in the process, I found myself admiring Prince for reasons that went well beyond his musical mastery. In the course of researching that book, I noticed a pattern of habits and behaviors that Prince repeated over time, a pattern of decisions, really, that I started to think led to his extraordinary success. So, Prince was very intentional, and I thought maybe what I've uncovered is a roadmap. And if I followed it, making the same kinds of decisions Prince made, could I lead a more fulfilling life? And so I began to look at Prince's life, the way he lived, as a blueprint for living a bigger life of my own. Each month had a theme and a Prince-inspired habit or behavior, and it lasted only a month. And when the month was over, I'd move on to a new one. I blogged about it. I chronicled the journey at lauratiebert.com, and now I'm writing another book, What Would Prince Do?, for which I hope to find a publisher. So that April day, I turned into the Arboretum, and here are the themes. I'm sorry, here are some of the themes I did. I prioritized play one month. I dressed up for everything I did one month. I, took my wardrobe cues from Prince. I said no to things that weren't right for me. And in April, I was about to attempt my biggest feat yet. So as I pulled into the beautiful Minnesota Landscape Arboretum that day, I was contemplating a truly outrageous idea. And it was the idea to change my name to an unpronounceable symbol. I mean, it was an outrageous idea, and one that I really, even though I'd been living for like Prince for a few months, I'd never contemplated it until a friend messaged me and said, you have to change your name to a symbol. And at that point, it was as if the gauntlet, the purple gauntlet had been thrown down. And I really had to ask myself, how could I live like Prince without changing my name to a symbol? It was really the most audacious behavior I tried. And I didn't know, like, couldn't everyday person just go ahead and do that? Like, can we just change our name to a symbol? So I was about to try very humbly and very imperfectly to do it for myself. And really that month, creating this symbol for myself and putting it on a name tag and introducing myself that way for a month was one of the most intimidating exercises I did in the year of living like Prince. It was disorienting. It was really uncomfortable, but it gave me insight into Prince and myself in a way that no other month did. So this is the news release that I went into the Arboretum that day, opened my laptop instead of my watercolor paints and began typing. And this is the news release that I put out that day, April 1st, 2019. I guess I was the fool that day. Prince's own news release was issued on his birthday, June 7th, 1993. And this is a statement from the press announcement that the first step he took toward the ultimate goal of emancipation from the chains that bind me to Warner Brothers is to change my name from Prince to the love symbol. Prince's own news announcement got worldwide coverage, and really in the process, he shook up the status quo, for his record company, for the media, and it became really, unfortunately, like it was very misunderstood, and the media covered it saying things like, with headlines like "a royal name pain," and that was from Entertainment Weekly that month. And it was widely misunderstood really for the 7 years that he used it as his identifier. Even in 1996, when Oprah Winfrey came to Paisley Park to interview Prince and Maite, leading up to the release of the Emancipation album, the first thing she said to Prince was, quote, "First of all, what do I call you?" And Prince replied, "Friend, I hope." So here I am in art class that day after issuing my news release, and I'm drawing my symbol and sort of perfecting something that I'd been playing around with the previous month. And I had, when I dressed up for everything I did, I had taken to wearing a mirror heart on my wrist, and I'd kind of gotten attached to the heart symbol. I never really thought of myself as a heart person before. I didn't really wear a lot of hearts or anything, but I got attached to it. And I decided that would be my starting point. So I searched up a free clip art site. I mean, I was going like symbol making for dummies here. So I went to a free clip art site. I found something that appealed to me, this heart with the rays of a sun. And you can see how I traced over it, and then I modified it to really be a heart with the rays of a sun coming out from it. And I did it in gold metallic marker. Really what my symbol meant was, it was kind of it reminded me it was okay to be a little vulnerable. I felt very vulnerable that month, and I wanted to give myself like fortify myself a little bit, and to remind me that it's okay to put my heart on the line, and to share myself with others, even when it scares me. And it really circled back to the whole theme of living like Prince, and trying to step up, and be seen, and maybe live a little bit bigger life by stepping outside your comfort zone. So here I was in a quick Facebook video in April 2019, showing how I was using my symbol.
It's symbol from the year of living like Prince. It's April, so this is my 4th month of living like Prince. This is the month where I have adopted a symbol as my name. I've had it painted on some t-shirts thanks to my friend Linda, and it's made it a lot easier because when people ask me what my name is, I just point to this.
I got tired of paper name tags, so I had a friend who very kindly helped me out. So, it was a really interesting month. It was very uncomfortable, as I said, but as it progressed, I used the symbol quite a bit in introducing myself. I had to use it in class, in watercolor painting class. My mail even came addressed to me as the symbol that month. And I went to, a benefit, a black tie benefit that month for Children's Hospital in Minnesota. And I put the symbol on my name tag and I introduced myself that way to strangers at the benefit. I mean, there were hundreds of people at this black tie benefit. And, you know, really, it was uncomfortable, but at the same time, people were, I don't know, kind of like jolted them out of the usual cocktail party banter. And I wound up having some really cool discussions, like number one about Prince and why would you want to live like this guy, but also about sort of what the symbol stood for, and just kind of led to a little bit deeper conversation, a little bit more of a connection with people than just this sort of very surface, superficial, you know, what do you do for a living kind of cocktail party talk. So as I delved into symbol making that month, I really learned about symbol making as an art and what art does for you. It's, you know, as always, there was science behind Prince. I found that out that year. There was always a reason why this habit or behavior was successful for him. But as you're creating art and as you think about creating a symbol for yourself, you know, you might find yourself like drawing a little bit and falling into sort of a flow state, falling into the zone, as I like to call it. And the zone was where Prince spent an awful lot of his time. I mean, the man was someone who worked 20 hours out of every 24, recording, you know, hours and hours on end, and being in the now, being in a flow state. And that is something that art making and symbol making can do for you. These are 32 ancient symbols that are found in caves all over Europe. They are consistently found in all parts of Europe. And the art of symbol making really is an ancient one. Symbols are the oldest art in the world. And maybe that's why symbol making just feels so inherently satisfying. It to me, when I was making my symbol, it felt like I was waking up some ancient gene inside me. And so in 2021, I created an online course where participants could live like Prince and try on these habits and behaviors. And this is one of the things that they got to look at, were these ancient symbols. And so I want you to note a couple of them sort of related to Prince. First of all, this oval, which will come up, I'll show you on the next slide, but also this spiral on the bottom. And that is something, if you've read Maite Garcia's book, the inside, I think back cover is covered in spirals. That is a doodle that she would make as she was talking to Prince on the phone in the early days when they were getting to know each other. But a symbol really can communicate in a way that sort of a word with letters can never do. And it's hard not to feel something when you look at a symbol. It evokes emotion. Prince's symbol, you can see the very early inklings of it on his cover art for the 1999 album. Here it is. So now over to you. And this is the part where I'd like you to start thinking a little bit about what kind of symbol could represent you, and would you like to kind of go down that path of creating something for yourself? Of course, Prince, being the great creator that he was, thought to create something from nothing is one of the greatest feelings. And he wishes it on everyone. It's heaven. I wish you heaven. I wish you creativity. So if you could get out a pen and paper, and I'd like you to write down a few things that you like about yourself today. Some qualities you have that stand out to you, that you, or maybe they're aspirational for you. These are some of the qualities that my students shared about themselves, just ideas to get you started. But jot down a few things. All you need is maybe 3 of them, and those 3 words you choose are your starting point. You might also think about symbols that have meant something to you in the past. This is a Robert Whitman photo of young Prince in 1977. And you can see he's already sporting these symbols that he would come to wear prominently in his stage costumes, especially in Sign of the Times, Love Sexy Eras, the star, the heart, the cross. even at age 19, these symbols attracted Prince. So you might think about, what symbols are you drawn to? Is there a symbol that you've liked to wear and a pendant around your neck? Is there something new you could create from it, something you might even have art in your house that inspires you. So these are some of the inspirations that my students shared that inspired their own symbols. Here is that oval, which is is at the end of the tunnel, the light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak, at Paisley Park. But you can see the oval there, the ancient symbol. Another person had a cross hanging on her bedroom wall, and yet another had a stained glass window in her home that was an inspiration to her. But I sort of encourage you to think a little bit more about your symbol, how it might be taking shape in your mind. And I encourage you to go ahead and, doodle around, maybe finish your symbol this weekend if you can. Here are some of my participants' symbols. You can see how unique and beautiful each of them is. In the upper left, we have someone who is extremely creative sewer, and the scissors meant a lot to her. We have someone who's a yogi. We have someone actually the bottom right who has sort of a bicycle with a treble clef, a third eye, even a little bit of purple in that if you look at it closely. Someone who loves books and music. They're all someone who was inspired actually by sigil magic. That's the center one. These are all like unique and beautiful and meaningful, and I hope they inspire you too. So this is a piece of encaustic art that was gifted to me by Clara Tomez, who's an artist who followed the year of living like Prince. Encaustic art is actually made of wax. So I treasure this and I keep it out of sunlight. So I hope that making a symbol for yourself will help you see Prince in a new light, and it will certainly help you see yourself in one too. I can't be here today in person. Today is my mom's 80th birthday, and we are celebrating. So I would like, though, to offer that if you come up with your 3 words and a symbol, if you would like to email me with those, I would be happy to send back your Prince name. I have been known to give people Prince names. I have a Prince name generator that lives in my brain, and the Prince generator will spew out your Prince name and send it back to you. So as my thank you for being here today, feel free to email me with that, and I will give you your own Prince name. Thank you so much for having me, D'Angela. Thank you for cultivating this community. And I look forward to watching this in recording and hearing what all of my esteemed colleagues have brought today, which I know is an amazing purple gift. So thank you all.